All right, guys, back to FORTIUS. I'm your host, Kidway Johnson, two-time Olympian. This is a podcast about throwing mindset and what it takes to be high performance, how to be the best, right? I've got Marcel Lomnicky with me, Slovakian Hammerman, silver medalist at World University. How many times? One,
Twice.
two, three. Did you won that? You're an
Twice.
Olympian a couple times. World champs a
Two-time
couple
Olympian.
times.
Yes.
An all-around cool dude. Am I right?
Yeah.
All
What's
right,
up,
man.
guys?
Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you're at training camp, yeah?
Yeah, I'm currently in Chula Vista training at the Olympic Training Center here down in San Diego. It's going amazing. The weather is, you can't get anything better than that. So I'm really enjoying my time here. Plus, I get to go there every day and see Sean Donnelly. So,
My
what
man,
can get better than that?
my man's getting the dawn action.
The Don action, he's really getting after it. You can see like he really wants it badly. Like I like to see that. I mean, he's young. He can train, extreme volumes. He's loving it. I mean, he's putting the work in. So it's really fun to watch him. Plus, he's getting the 10. Like
Right.
he's so 10 now. So it's
Did you say tan? He's so tan?
yeah, he's 10. So he's pretty too. So it's really cool to watch him train, all 10 and shirtless.
That's funny. That's kind of what I think like when you and Pablo came that first year and then whatever, like the training camps after that, like, because that first year when you guys came here, I was hardcore ball. So this is, I guess, the 2017 season. So my last season. And I was after it. I was getting after it. I was feeling good. And then like the turn of the year came like January 1st. And I was like, ugh, I don't want to do this anymore. And when did you guys get here?
We
February?
got there usually end of March. So for the majority of April.
That first year, that's how late it was?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
because usually we spent January, February, March in like Europe, Portugal,
right on. Okay.
somewhere around there. So we would always come end of March and spend the whole April there.
Yeah. So for me, that January hit, and then it was just kind of sporadic. There might be 2-3 days rest in
Yeah,
between training sessions, and
that's
you
a
guys
lot.
showed up,
It's
and
a lot of rest.
it was like boom, it was like right back to it, and then that it eventually went to a season best and world championship berth. Anyway, so yeah, man, how's it going? You're a dad now.
I'm a dad. Yeah, that's a challenge too. To not even take care of myself now, but to take care of the family and little guy. I have my son. He's 19 months now, so he's walking around, running around. He doesn't speak much yet, but it's amazing. The life completely changes.
Yeah.
Anybody who has kids, they know what I'm talking about. I just found out it is a blessing. I'm really happy that I have him, but at the same time, I can't really have him here while I'm training because I really have to focus on my sport career. So so it's very hard to be away from him for such a long time. So
Yeah.
I guess you can have both at the same time. You can, but in my opinion, my hammer throwing would suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
When
I think that's just kind of a
you're off.
dynamic that like you kind of have to find, especially maybe especially with hammer throwers because we tend to be still in the game mid to late, sometimes even early 40s, mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
And usually by that time, there's always children involved and wives, and finding that balance, honestly, I think is kind of part of.
Yeah, like in everything, like if you find the right balance, like, well, the biggest thing, your wife um, needs to understand that you are athlete and then husband.
Right.
That's what I think about. Like, if your wife is understandable of what you're doing and she supports you, then there is no drama. Then there is no fighting or going back and forth. Like, so that creates a good environment for you to focus on, to be happy and to enjoy what you're doing. Because if I was here, a couple thousand miles away from home, and she would tell me every day like, oh, you're not here. And, she would complain all the time that my training would suffer too. So
Yeah.
it's really, yeah, it's
Was she
really,
an athlete too, or is she just like really a
nah,
special civilian?
nah, she's a civilian. She never done anything. No sport. And that was the funny thing. Like, we've been together for 12 and a half years now. And at the beginning, it was really rough. It was very hard for her to understand that I have to go to training every day. And at the time I was still in university or high school or whatever. So I wouldn't have to, I couldn't come straight from the school to see her and had to go there to training. So at the beginning, she really had to, dig deep and understand that being an athlete is not a normal job or normal thing. So
Yeah, totally.
it requires a lot of extra time you have to spend outside of family. So now she's good, though.
So
It's been a while. Yeah.
Talk to me about kind of your hammer journey. Were you kind of like a, I don't know, typical or traditional like European kid, and you were in like in clubs, like track clubs at a younger age, where you did, everything, and then kind of eventually you found your way to something more specific?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like, well, when I was very young, when I was 6 years old, my mom signed me up for figure skating. So I actually was doing figure skating for like 4 or 5 years. I was spinning on ice and doing turns and shit.
Oh
It
yeah.
was crazy. But then, when I turned 10 or 11, all of my classmates or my buddies started laughing at me, like, because everybody at home plays ice hockey.
Hockey, yeah.
So for me, for me to eat figure skate, it was gay, because I was wearing all the glitter and everything, like, all the costumes we were making at home, sewing. It was crazy. So then I started to be ashamed of that. I stopped. I was like, Mom, I'm not doing this anymore. It's gay.
Yeah.
But there was just a peer pressure, and then I started the track. Actually, the track stadium was like, I don't know, 5-minute walk from my home. So I would spend a couple of weekends there playing as a kid, like on the grass, because they had a really nice grass, in field. So we would play there with I don't know, with my mom. So she would sign me up for it was like a class in elementary school that would focus more on athletics, which meant like there would be classes that would have 2 hours per week more of like a athletic training or something. So they would send the kids to the stadium, and for 2 more hours per week, they would have fun at the stadium. So we would start with all the different events, running, jumping, of course. That was the most popular ones. And then the throwers started when I was like 13, 14, with shot put, discus, javelin, everything. Really, I was trying to find what I'm the best at,
Right.
And then
Hammer at first, like I did.
no, actually, it was fun. But the crazy story is that there was no hammer coach at my track club. Like, there was only shot put, discus guy. And I've been with them for like a year throwing shot, and I was like, man, I really want to try the hammer throw. And he's like, well, I have no idea. The coach at the time, like, I really don't know anything about the hammer, but there's one guy. He used to throw a hammer here, I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, and he has his own job now. He was engineer. He was he was very, very, very smart guy, and at the time his PR when he was throwing was like a 54 meters. Not a very good hammer thrower, but he said that's the only guy I know that's been throwing the hammer. And I can give you a number, and you can call him, and he can maybe come take a look at you and stuff. So I called him. It was like a fall. I don't know. I was 13 years old in the fall. I called him. I was like, hello, sir. This is Marcel, 13 years old. So, and I was very short, like even shorter than I'm right now. So, if you took a look, if you took a look at me, you will say like, there's no chance I will, spend time teaching you event because there is no perspective or something. It was so bad. But the guy didn't see me. He's like, oh, well, and he didn't want to do anything with the track because he was already gone by, 10 years. So he said, well, you know what, son, call me in spring and we'll see what we can do because now the winter is coming. So there will be no throwing. It's shitty outside. So call me in the spring. And I really, this is a true story though. So I really wanted to throw hammers. So did I tell you this before?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, so I didn't forget. And he was hoping later in life, he told me that he was hoping I would forget like completely, but I didn't. And the very first spring, Marcus in a calendar was like, I don't know what's the very first spring day, like 21st of March or 21st of April, something like that. One of those.
Yeah.
And it was the very first spring day of the next year. And I pick up the phone, I call him, hello, sir, this is Marcel. It's spring finally here. Let's throw some hammer. And the guy was so amazed, man. He's like, oh, this kid.
Was he like bummed about it? Was he bummed like that he got the call, or did he use it as like, yeah, man, this kid's got it? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think he was just amazed that I really wanted to try it so badly that I didn't forget.
Yeah.
I don't know. So he showed up the next day, and we stick around, until I left for college to United States. So, but there was the funny thing. Like, funny fact was that he really wasn't experienced. Like, he had no experience. He was never coached by anybody good. He was just throwing for fun, by himself back in the day. So we were learning the event together. It was very interesting.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that because I think maybe especially in an event like Hammer, like that's probably really beneficial because.
Yeah, well,
I mean, honestly, most. How do I say that? Like all the throwing events probably carry with it a very proud kind of culture with it, right? And rightfully so. But I think the dangers of that is carrying with it like assumptions and assuming that something should be a certain way because that's how, so-and-so grew up or did it or saw someone else do it, 30 years ago once because they just happened to be at the same field. You know what I mean? So you end up doing things like that and to be able to kind of learn the event without anyone else's influence, I think in Hammer especially, but, probably all the other events, let's be honest, is most beneficial. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because, back in the day, there was no internet. Oh, there was internet, but there was, the videos, the Hammer videos, the stuff that it is available now. It wasn't available back in the day. So I'm not that old though, but it was rough. Like we had only throw of SETI or someone like picture by picture, frame by frame, the throw, and we'll look at it. And we didn't even have a camera to record our videos or anything. It was a fun time. We were just playing around like small kids, and that was the fun thing about it. I really enjoyed it, and the other thing is, maybe from figure skating, like I used to spin on at ice all the time. So when I pick up the hammer, like doing 2-3 turns compared to my friends who tried it with me, like they would get dizzy, and they would struggle, and they would be thrown by the hammer more than they would throw the hammer itself. And for me, it was such a natural movement, like I picked it up, and within 3 weeks, I was throwing 3 turns. It wasn't pretty, but I was able to do 3 turns, and I could all of a sudden see that I'm much better at this than all the other events. So that kept me in the hammer throw. That
right.
I show up at some local competition and I won by, I don't know, 20 meters.
Yeah.
I felt like a hero, I was 14 years old. Felt like, oh shit, this is awesome. So
man, I'm gonna tell you what, I think we made this joke like when we were living in Canada. We really think that there's something to this figure skating thing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like not me personally, but the Canadian girls. So like when that whole group was in was in campus with Dr. B, plus a couple of the other girls that didn't train there. So, you know, Sultana and Crystal, of course, and Jen and Stacey and Megan. And I think there was another one that trained like way, way far away. They all grew up figure skating until like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Crystal did all those figure skating coaching certifications and things, and like was really entrenched in that kind of life. And then they all started throwing hammer. And it's like, those guys are probably the top 5, you know, top 6 all time in that country. And like, and it's all.
I'm telling you, man, because I had for such a small kid when I was like 11 or 10, when I was ending the figure skating, I had such a strong leg. Like, it's such a good sport for leg strength.
For sure.
Because you got to do all the jumps and all the, you know, I mean, we did zero lifting, of course, like we were kids, but just by ice skating on that ice made you like explosive, maybe strong explosive. It was, it makes sense.
Grows the glutes.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It grows the glutes.
Grows the glutes.
Thank you, figure skating.
Yeah, and then the hammer just has no chance. Like you got to throw it far.
Exactly. So you mentioned what you were doing like before you went to college. So college was Virginia Tech, kind of like, were you kind of in the middle of like Virginia Tech's heyday, or kind of towards the end? You were kind of in the middle, weren't you, when like you guys were just kind of destroying everyone? At least in the SEC you were. Or sorry, ACC.
ACC, yeah. It was, in the conference, it was, my first year when I came to Virginia, I won the national championship with 72-meter throw. So it wasn't really a good, you know, there was Walter Henning at the time that I beat him by like a meter or something. But then the third guy was below 70. Like it was very special at the time.
That was at NCAA champs or conference?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, NCAA championship. It was back in 2009. 2009, 2010. It was even until 2012, I think, for the whole my college career, it was a special thing to break the 70-meter line in hammer throw. So nowadays it's getting, you know, the level is getting better even in the weight throw. When I won the NCAA championship in the weight throw, it was for a 22-meter throw, 22 meters. And now, you know, it doesn't even make the top 8 maybe, or maybe it does, but it's close.
College,
so, I mean, does, yeah. So at the time, you know, when I was throwing 70, and I was improving every year. So when I started with 71.5 and ended up with 76 meters or 77 when I was leaving the college, it was, you know, like I was the only one in the conference throwing that far. But I won the only one national championship outdoor because I had some different problems there. But yeah. But I was always leading the nation in with the mark. With the best
what was you had a pretty good training group. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, I was training with Alexander Ziegler.
Ziegler, yes.
Yeah, that German hammer guy. I mean, he was training like a maniac. Like that guy really wanted to throw far hammer. I really enjoyed training with him. I think he ended up with a PR of a little shy of 76, so 75, 78 or something like that.
Yeah.
And but he also had a big ambition in like academically. So he, you know, he finished up his MBA degree at the Virginia Tech, and I think now he's doing he's still studying. A couple of years back, I think he's doing his PhD in Kansas or Texas, somewhere. I don't know.
It is somewhere, yeah. Because the last time I came
still in school, yeah.
I don't remember if that was in the States or in Germany, but he was he was in his program then, and this is like a few years back.
I don't think, maybe he's finished like last year, like very recently. But when I talked to him like a year ago, he was still doing his PhD. So
yeah.
I mean, but then he was still trying to throw hammer. Like he finally stopped like 2 years ago, but he was still try and, you know, train, but he unfortunately, he didn't have the mark to qualify for any major championships, so he stopped.
So you got to make decisions, right?
I mean, of course, because it takes time. It takes commitment to train at the elite level, and if you want to do something 100%, you cannot. You have to sacrifice something. So.
Well, and this has nothing to do with Alexander, but I think that it's a bit of a fallacy. You know what? I'll speak for kind of North America / America. I don't know if it's like this in Europe or anything, but the idea of like trying hard means if I try hard or hard enough, I'm going to get exactly what I want. And I think in some arenas, like that's probably absolutely possible. You know what I mean? Like in business or something, or like something not physical. How about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then, but
I agree.
In track and field, you can try all you want, man, but that grade separator is the old DNA. There's not much you can do about that.
That's true. Or you gotta have a smart coach, who has some kind of experience and who knows when to tell you to rest, or
Right.
who knows, when is the good time to push it, and
that's where the expertise of coaches come in, right? Like the really good ones, like they can bridge the gap.
I mean, because the easiest thing you can do, like I talk to many elite guys, and the easiest thing you can do is to overtrain yourself, because it's everybody wants to be the best, and to put the work in and be the hardest working guy in the room, in my opinion, is the easiest thing you can do.
Right.
Like anybody can work hard, but the very few people know how to work smart and hard.
Right on.
I'm not saying you gotta sit on your couch and watch TV and be an Olympian.
Yeah.
But
you probably have it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's some guys like that.
I'll tell you what, it wasn't me. That wasn't me. Shoot.
Yeah, no, it wasn't me either. You
I
gotta put the work in, but you gotta be smart about it. Yeah.
I'm still sore from my training.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Oh God.
How is your comeback coming?
The comeback? Oh, we're gonna flip the script. Okay. It's going well. It's going well. I'm not to the point, like I used to like train and then feel good about something based on what I see in training and be like, yeah, I'm gonna throw this I'm gonna throw at least this year, or at least this result this year.
I'm gonna get some water. Hold on.
Alrighty. I'm not sure. I can't make that kind of claim yet.
Well,
so the comeback is going well in that I'm enjoying training again. Every single throw I'm super grateful for. I love to throw. I love feeling the things that are going on, you know what I mean? And kind of just exploring that and its relation to everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
It is improving program by program, so
that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like I'll be at trials, of course. I need another program or two before I can be like, yeah, I think this is possible. You'll probably be able to tell either by how I'm posting or like by how I'm talking. Like when I'm like super confident, I don't say much, but like you can tell anyway.
Yeah.
At least I've been told that. It's kind of like Connor, right? Like when Connor like shuts down, you don't hear nothing from him. That dude's throwing far.
Yep. Bro, yeah. I mean,
I hadn't heard from him in 4 months, and shows up and friggin' puts me down the weight throw list. Man, that was awesome.
That was awesome. I was watching the competition. It was just crazy, man. And it was awesome. Sean was so happy. I don't know if I can tell this. No, I will not.
Really? I mean, we can always edit it out.
Nah, Sean was so happy. He told me, dude, I'm so freaking happy I didn't go.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
It was such a good call, man. He was like, oh, man, I'm so glad I stayed here.
I mean, the weight's funny, though, because so I never, especially post-collegiately, all right, in college, there's nothing wrong with the weight, right? You want to go to conference, you got to throw it, It's generally known and understood that it's not the best forehammer most cases, but it can be, you know what I mean, depending on how you train it and your coach and blah 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 blah.
If you don't, yeah.
But post collegiately, it also doesn't. It probably makes even less sense to throw it unless you can go and basically guarantee yourself that you're going to get top 5, right? Because if you get top 5, you get money, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when people are, they're like, I'm throwing weight. Well, I mean, if you can get top 5, then rock on, man. Like, because we're hammer throwers and we need that money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like there is still that kind of risk you run, and I support both sides, right? Sean chose not to go. That's great. His hammer's probably coming along nicely. Like he's got some posts out there. Some of the other ones chose to throw weight, and that's fine. They're going to get some money then and try to hang on and get it back for the hammer. But like, someone like Connor, there's not much difference between his weight technique and his hammer technique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
So
that's
supplements each other, yeah.
Right. And that's where it gets kind of funny, where like that dude can throw weight year round if he wants to and not really see much effect on his hammer, and I was one of them where like if it like part of those years I was throwing the weight really far, like we weren't throwing it a lot, but I was throwing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, we probably threw it like twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
But, like and prior to that and then after that, I would throw it like once a week or once every couple of weeks kind of thing. And just to kind of do it because I can, but the focus was hammer. And, to throw the weight far, like you got to throw it. And that's not always good.
No, I really hated it. Yeah. Especially like, I can see some people can, like Connor, like he's so relaxed, kind of like even the way he walks is, like he was, he's that type of guy. Like he's so relaxed. So when he throws the weight, it's looking, very similar to his hammer technique. So I can see that it's working out for him pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
For me, it was a different story. I was struggling so bad.
Oh,
I hated that even.
Man. When you're throwing, I tell people like when I was throwing 25, like it was much better. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not going to say I hated throwing 25 meters. But the kind of like 23, 24 meter range, like I would have competitions and the next day feel like I just played football. You know what I mean? Like, or some other physical event. I'm sure like people can, I don't know about soccer, probably not, but like rugby and football, right? The next day, actually the next 2 days, you're just like, ugh, like I'm dead. I don't even remember getting hit there. Like, what's that? You know what I mean? And, and the same shit would happen in the weight where I would compete and feel like I got hit by a truck. And like, and that's because I wasn't throwing it the way that, it is meant to be thrown, but like, whatever.
It was just, got it. That's
So
what exactly,
what was transition to post collegiate? What did you struggle with? Talk to me about some things that like sucked.
Well, the thing that sucked. Well, the major difference was that while I was in college, I would always train once per day, So I would always go to school in the morning, then have lunch, and then I would throw and lift in like a one long session, right? And after college, I had so much time, and we went to these training camps, and it was boring. Like I couldn't do it, so we would start training twice a day, So I don't know. In the morning we would throw, and then in the afternoon we would lift, or we would do some jump sprints, whatever. So for me the most challenging part was to get used to training twice a day, every day, and it was a lot of training all of a sudden. Like because you have to warm up twice, you have to you spend a little more time there, and it was like constantly every day, all day training, and that was like the hardest part. Like, this is not what I signed up for. Like, it's too much. Even though I enjoyed it, but it was like, it was too much for me. So that was the first struggle, like after college. And the other thing is that, I didn't have the distraction. Like, it really helped for me to, not be hammer focused 24/7, like to be able to go to, school or somewhere and like turn off the mental thing and focus on something else. I really enjoyed it. So So I had to find something else that I can do outside of hammer, because I know some guys that, you know, they throw, and if they have a good training, then they're so excited. Out, you know, after training, they're still thinking about like, oh my god, I had a good training, I'm throwing far, and they can't stop thinking about it. And at the same time, when they had bad training, you know, after training, they were still thinking like, oh my god, I had a bad training, I need to fix this and that. You know, constantly thinking hammer is not, or any, you know, it's not a good thing. So
Yeah.
that was also a struggle, like to find something that I can, you know, switch my mind and forget about the hammer for at least, you know,
So what
one
did you find?
afternoon or for the whole weekend or something. Yeah.
So what did you find?
Well, I turned to family.
Okay.
I tried to spend more time with family, and I came home and I said, look, um, I kind of want to live two separate lives or something. Like I really don't want to talk a sport when I'm at home. So don't
Yeah.
ask me how it's training. Don't ask me nothing. Like it's my job. I go there. I really enjoy it, but when I'm home, I don't want to talk about it. So I really enjoy cooking. So because it is not really that you know, physically demanding thing
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
So I started cooking and smoking meat, and you know, the American style. Like I came home and there is no, you know, barbecue joint where you can buy smoked barbecue ribs or anything like that, you know. So I really missed it. So I was like, God damn, I need to buy a grill. I need to do that. So
Do you
I
have
turned to
any
food, you
trouble
know.
getting like the meat, like the ribs or whatever, where you're at, like back at home?
Yeah, I was. I mean, now it's getting better, I think. But there's still no place where you can buy it. Like they
Yeah.
would do ribs, but it's
Yeah.
like a oven bake or something. Like it's not the real deal. It's not smoked. You know, it doesn't have the same taste
Yeah.
or the same texture. So I mean, so cooking really helped. Like I really turned to cooking, spend hours and hours a day, you know, cooking and preparing stuff for everybody. So and I do it until today. So I really enjoy
Awesome.
it.
I didn't know that. So you need to cook when
Yeah.
you come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to just go and order some kebab in restaurant, right? That was a good one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
But yeah, I mean, that's one of my passions, cooking, and
Nice. So
stuff.
versus, because I mean, I definitely, especially from now having a family, like, yeah, man, that was me too. And the whole, I went from training probably 4 days a week, like 4 hammer throwing sessions a week, like at most, to 10
Yeah,
throwing, 10 lifting. And it just went, it was too much that first year. I ended up, almost dying basically.
yeah,
But I know like the warming up, like, so we used to warm up twice a day, every day. And I just got to the point I'm like, oh God, like I just don't want to warm up anymore.
yeah. Then I started experimenting. Like so if you have such a long career, you have to, well, that's my opinion. You gotta try and stimulate the body with different things. So every year I don't train the same every year. So
Yeah.
even with the warm up or with stretching or all the other things outside of throwing, I try to change every now and then. So
I really
during my
like that.
career,
I
I
really
had
like that from like, just honestly, just from a kind of a holistic like movement perspective. I really like that. Damian Warner and his coach, they come here quite often in the last couple of years, and like, and their warm up is any number of things. Like they got a football, they've got like baseballs in this little game or
yeah.
whatever, and they just move for like a half hour playing.
That's what I try too. Like one time, I think the whole winter preparation, I was just playing basketball.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes, I would play basketball, and then I would start throwing. And the other times I had like a 45-minute warm up. It was dynamic, static, stretching. It was all sorts of stuff like sprinters would do. Like it was very, very deep, kind of like it was very tiring. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would warm up already sweating like crazy, and I mean, I don't think it was bad. It was different.
Well, yeah, and that's the question. Did
Yeah,
you see much difference in your throwing? Like, I mean, and
not really.
yeah,
Not really.
so that's what I mean. Like, I think the body is amazing, and like
No, I mean,
unless you're
but
on an extreme of one side or the other, you're probably not going to see much in your training anyway. You know what I mean? Um, at
probably
least
not. I
maybe
mean,
not.
there is the idea like you can get a big, the bigger range of motion, and you can be relaxed and throw far. But I don't know. I find out that the the way I do it now is just uh, I try to get my joints more flexible, like let's say hips and all those big joints.
Supple.
Uh,
That's a good
yeah,
one.
and then warm up just a little bit, and then just warm up with the movement. So start throwing easy. Don't go 120% first throw.
Yeah,
First couple throws, 6, 8 throws, just go easy, and then kind of like warm up in the movement. And then by the time 8th throw will come, you're ready to go.
yeah.
You're ready to have a training. So the
That's
first 8 throws doesn't count.
yeah, right, man. That's pretty much mine. You know, my philosophy at this point too. Like, and I mean, also being in Florida, like just getting out of the car and walking to the ring is a warm up, right? You know,
Yeah,
and then
that's
so,
true.
like, I'm sweating. You know what I mean? Like, put my
Yeah.
shoes on, I'm good to go. But in the winter months here, when it's in the mornings, I don't know, let's say 40 something degrees Fahrenheit. Um, yeah, I might jog a little bit and I'll take some releases and just kind of move. But like, yeah, man, like my first 2, 3, 4 throws maybe um, are typically just kind of easier, trying to feel the rhythm,
Yeah.
get into it. When I'm in better physical condition, I'm almost always like top end within like by my third throw. And then
That's a good thing though, because you don't really get much more during competition anyway. So it's
exactly, and
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why I like it. Um,
Yeah.
and over the years, I mean, most of these things I've been able to kind of figure out. Like, so once I got to Kamloops, like we threw so much, I was able to really keep good track of like what was going on and when and stuff. And like for me, with the 7K over a 10-year span, so like I would include now all the way back to, I don't know what year we got there, 2008. My best 7Ks were always within the first 9 or 10. Usually
Oh,
8. Usually between 8 to 10 is, I would say, 99.99% of the time, my best throw of the session would be within that group. The same goes for light hammers. I would say maybe even 1 or 2 less throws. So like, I don't know, maybe between 6 and 8. And then, but with heavy balls, I could have my best of the session with a heavy on the last throw. So it,
interesting.
it, it didn't matter. I could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With heavy balls, I could have my best, not on the first, but within the first
Yeah.
couple or on the last throw. But 7s and 6s, nah. Or
That's
lights.
good
But
though.
like I feel like that's probably more just about my physical makeup anyway.
No, I mean that's good. I mean it would be worse than it was if it was the other way around, because the
Yeah.
7K is the competition one, so that's all that matters.
You don't get your
So if you
best
can get
throws.
it as far as possible within the first 4 throws or 5 or 7, it's amazing.
So what has happened? Like, do you use like sports psychology services or anything like that?
Well, I haven't tried yet, but I've been told I need to. There were some competitions I didn't handle correctly, and but I haven't tried it yet. It's very hard when you move. For me, when you move around the world all the time for training camps and you're not at home. I mean, it is possible to. I've heard to communicate with someone like that through the internet now, but
Right. Kind of
the
like we're
best
doing
thing,
now.
yeah, this is a therapy. I like it,
Yeah, this is
but no. But no, I mean, yeah, it would be most beneficial would be, of course, to when I would be at one place and talk to the guy all the time. But after last year, like after Doha, it was really on my mind because I really felt I was, I was in the best shape of my life. I was trying super hard in training, and I was really, it was maybe the first time in my life when I actually thought about, when I felt I have what it takes to medal. It was that kind of feeling, and it kind. I don't think it scared me, but definitely something happened, and when I showed up at the qualification, it was not the same me. I don't know how
Yeah.
to explain it. Like, it was. I didn't feel pressure. I didn't feel nothing crazy, and I wasn't nervous. I actually felt pretty relaxed. I don't know. I was very confident,
Yeah.
but it didn't work out. And after that, it was all over because the season was, the championship was. There was no meets afterwards. It was such a late date for a world championship that there was no other meets to, show the guys that what I'm capable of. So the season was over immediately, and I was struggling. So I actually wanted to find someone, but I didn't. And but I talked to a couple elite Slovakian uh, athletes, not in track and field, but I also talked to one guy who was a very good professional tennis player from Slovakia. I think back in the day, he used to be, I don't know, top 10 in ATP ranking or top 15. I don't know. He was a good tennis player, and I talked to him because tennis is such a hard
Yeah.
mental sport. Like,
I think
I
it's
mean,
probably, yeah, right up there
it,
with track.
yeah, it's very hard, especially when you have a long, I don't know, 4 or 5 hour game, and it changes from 15 to 15. It's crazy how challenging it is. So I talked to him, and he gave me a lot of good insights, what to do, what to think of. So I'm trying it this year, even in my training. And he also told me a lot of good things about competition and mental aspect of competition. So I'll give it a try this year, but
Is there anything you can share? Like,
top secret. Keep
maybe
that.
not personally, like your, you know what I mean? I don't know, your
No,
personal
but
stories, but
the biggest stake, what I can tell you was that what I what amazed me when he was talking about was that he would do this thing. Like, he would usually, people, when you have a bad day, when you have a bad training or anything, um, you analyze, you try to think what went wrong, how to fix it, and stuff like that,
right.
which is natural. But you kind of get like it's already a negative kind of thinking. Like, you're thinking about bad stuff, like what happened and how to fix it. And usually, because you're training, and all of a sudden there's some periods of time that the training is going good by itself. You don't know how it's happening, but you're just feeling good. Like, for a couple of weeks straight, you are throwing amazing, and you don't know what's happening, but you're happy, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden it changes. Something happens, and you lose the feeling, or you lose the timing, or something happens, and it's not the same. And
Is
then
every single thrower ever.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Something happens, and it's not the same, and you didn't do nothing wrong. Just something happens, and then it takes some time to figure out, to get back, right? To figure out what went wrong, how to fix it. Another month pass, 2 months, and then you get the same feeling again. And it's exactly in tennis or in any sport like that it happens. And what he was trying to do was trying to um, minimize the time that you're coming back. So instead of 2 months or 1 month, he would try to minimize it to like a 1 week. And the way he would do it was that when he was actually having those good days, like the perfect days, because then you don't really think about anything. You're just, usually normal people, when you're throwing good, you kind of like it flies by so fast. You throw, you go home, you throw again. Like, the time flies so fast because you're having good time, right? You don't think about what's happening. And then he would sit down right at the time. He would sit down and analyze why he's doing so well instead of, the other way around. So that's the thing I'm trying to do. Like when there is a good time, when you have a good feeling, you have a good timing, you're throwing far, it would actually it would be a very detailed analysis. Like it would be very detailed. He would sit down and analyze all the movements, all the feelings. He would visualize what he's feeling, when he's entering the circle, the winds, the release, everything when you're having a good day.
Right.
And I don't know if somebody's doing it. I wasn't doing it. So for me, it was a new information. And, you write it down, you kind of memorize it. You learn the feelings when you have a good day. And then when something happens and, the bad days comes, you kind of know, you don't find, you stop trying to find what's wrong with you. You immediately start thinking about the feelings you memorize kind of when you had a good day. And he found out during his career that when he started doing this, he shortened the period of coming back to good feelings by, couple of weeks. So, I mean, it's interesting.
This is great, man. So yeah, thank you for sharing. So, I mean, so that included essentially, I guess, personal kind of reflection on what
it's a positive
like. Was there journaling going on too? Like, were you writing these things down?
He was telling me it's also everybody's talking about positive versus negative thinking. It's the same thing. Like you try to focus on positive instead of negative, but you got to know what to look for, So before you analyze your best days ever, you cannot really detailedly know what you're looking for. So
right.
Then you're stuck with a loop of mistakes. Like I would say, instead of thinking of your mistakes, you should think about about the good
What you did well,
good feelings. Yeah. So I mean, it might be challenging to do. It may require practice. It's not very easy because everybody knows how it's supposed to look like. Like how the technique is supposed to look like, the positions and everything. But the feelings you have in a good throw, it's you can feel them.
Right.
So I mean, what I'm trying to say, it's more about the feelings you feel during the good throw, like more of how it's supposed to, more of a technical aspect.
Boom. There it is.
Yeah. Finally getting where I want to be.
No, talking through it is the best part, man. Like, I mean,
yeah. So yeah, he was saying he would imagine exactly, how it felt to hit a ball, to tennis ball at a certain angle, so it curved behind the net.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff like that. But he would imagine the feeling of it, not the actual how it's done. It's crazy. But it can be applied to hammer throw as well.
I would say for sure. I mean, yeah, I think
because the hammer is, every sport is about the feeling. That's why I like Libor here. Now I didn't have we didn't mention Libor yet.
Huh?
We didn't mention Libor.
We didn't mention him. Yeah. Sorry about that, Libor, man.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Some of you guys who
will come back
right now, you might not even know this dude. Can you pronounce Sharfreitag, right? I didn't say it right.
That's an American way to say it.
Yeah, whatever.
Close enough.
Libor is amazing. He threw, what's his PR? 81. 81. See, I got that quiz going on.
Yeah.
And was the number 2 at the time when I was throwing weight back in the old bigger tungsten balls. Lance, Libor, and then me. And he came out to Ohio a few times to throw out the Finley Elite Indoor meet. And I don't think I ever beat him in the weight. I was kind of annoyed about that. Anyway, so yeah, you could tell him today. That was annoying. But anyway, so Libor is a great dude, and Dave Woolman, his longtime coach, amazing guy.
Yeah.
And now he's helping you here, or what?
Yeah, that was the thing. I used to train with him back in 2015, the whole year before Rio Olympics, because I had a trouble at the local club. They kicked me off. They kicked me out of the. I was not able to train at my home facility any longer, so I had to find another solution. And he was still training. Like he was still trying to make the Rio Olympic team. And he's from different city than I am, and is only a 30-minute drive. So I kind of team up with him and starting, going back and forth every day to his town to train, and we kind of like connected a little better. So it's nothing new. Like we used to train together, but then after Rio, I decided to join the Polish group, Pavel Fajdek group, and was training with Pavel for like 2.5 years, and now it was the right time. Like I kind of was all by myself alone again, and then he was doing nothing really. Like, so I asked him if he wants to join me and help me out, and there he is. He's here with me in Chula Vista, and it's amazing, man. He has so much wisdom and so much experience with the hammer. So it's really nice to have the experienced guy like that by your side.
Totally. I think that's a conversation Crystal and I have had a couple of times about a mentor versus a coach.
Yeah, he's a more of a mentor, but
right.
it really, for me, that's what I need. It's
right.
better than a coach.
Yeah. I think they both that's not to put, like, when I say that, that's not to put down coaches or anything, but like by definition, yes, mentor. By definition, mentor has done it. A coach hasn't necessarily done it, but they've coached people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so in saying that, obviously, being a mentor doesn't make you a good coach, but whatever. But there are some great ones out there, right?
Yeah.
But that could be a whole different kind of conversation. So I did intend to ask you what your most challenging, probably psychological moment was in your career, but it sounds like it was it last year, like with Doha, and going in feeling great and it turning out differently than you had anticipated?
Yeah, Doha was like the most difficult recent one, but I've had a couple in the past. I remember back in 2014, there was no Olympic Games, no Worlds, but we had the European Championships. And that was the year, like 10 days before the championships, I threw my PR. So I was in a great shape. Like I was throwing super far. I threw 79-16, 1.5 week before the championships, and I felt like, oh man, this is great. And then I showed up at a qualification and won the qualification with 77 meters. And then also something happened, like before the final. So I got to the final and got seventh with 76.90. So that was also kind of disappointing, and I also think that the mental side was, every time it seems like every single time I feel like I can do well.
Yeah.
I don't do so well. So that's why I like Libor here. He's helping me out with that a lot. And but yeah, that was because even in Rio or some other meets, I didn't really feel like I had what it takes. I had like nothing to lose in my mind. I didn't think I can make the finals. I didn't think I can, get the medal. But then when you look at the results, they're better than when I was in a good shape.
Right.
So sometimes it's good to be an underdog. It's just different for every people. Some people enjoy, Pavel, for instance. He's good at he's good at blocking all this pressure out. And even though he's, let's say world leader based on the top list or something, he can still perform and throw well. So, I mean, that's what I got to try to change personally. But, yeah, there's still some work to be done.
Well, it sounds like you're on the right track. Like that story that you shared, I think is probably going to be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're big changes this year for me. Like I changed a lot, like completely, a lot of things. So I'm very excited what's gonna happen this year. But yeah, it's the Doha was a big learning experience for me. It was incredible.
So so what are you looking for? When are you going to open up then? Like we're getting towards the end of this now.
Yeah, we'll have in like a month now, 4 or 5 weeks, March 21st, we have a winter European Winter Throwing Cup or something called like that. We have a competition in Europe.
Back in Lyria? Where is
Yeah,
it?
it's there. It's in Portugal. So I will go and try to open up there, but it's like gonna be early opener, and then maybe Mount Sac a month later.
Yeah, 6.
Because I'll be coming back to Chula Vista to train for another 7 weeks, I think.
7?
Yeah, another 7 weeks.
Training camp life. Woo.
Yep. So I'll be back, and then in the middle of May I'm coming back home. So maybe end of May I will start with my like a normal season. So I'll still have some time. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if I'll go to Mount Sac yet, but I'll definitely do the Portugal thing, and then I'll decide.
Well, I would like to go to Mount Sac because, of course, it would be the last one for me ever as an athlete, and California
Mount Sac is amazing, and finally they finish up the stadium, so it's gonna be all together.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Or you can do Tucson or something too.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. We could talk about our personal plans away from this. So, you got any last words? Anything you want to like share with the crowd? Follow me or any of that kind of thing? Do you have sponsors? What's up?
Yeah, I have no sponsors. Hammer sucks for sponsors. Just throwing it out there, guys. Don't do Hammer if you want to get sponsors.
Yeah, if you want to be
just switch events immediately. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, lately I've been active on there more than other social medias. And to all the Hammer guys, like, I mean, the US Hammer, it's getting better. I really like to see that. I'll be watching the American trials this year. It's gonna be crazy. I think it's gonna take Kiba. It's gonna take 77 meters to make the team, so I hope we can be there. At least, I mean, that's my guess. It's my humble guess.
Yeah, we'll see.
Around 77. I don't know. It depends.
I think several will have that result going in.
Yeah. Oh, you think it's gonna be less? Yeah. Well, we'll see.
I think trials will be a battle of placing. I think results will happen before that.
Maybe. Maybe you're right.
That's just experience.
People. Yeah.
Experience talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's funny when you talk about like it's Olympic year and people usually tend to do more than before. Like they really want to add something extra.
Yeah.
And that's when they hurt themselves, not physically hurt themselves, but maybe distance-wise, like maybe they do too much.
That's right. I mean, yeah, the Olympic year is kind of the year to minimize and like, I don't know what's my word, but like to really make kind of one or two things like really, really efficient. You know what I mean? It's time to add a bunch of stuff. So
it's very. I've seen it many times. Like people try to do too much, and it's just by the time the season comes, June, July, it's it's over.
In the tank.
Yeah, you gotta be smart about it. But yeah, I mean, just train hard, train smart, and throw far. That's it. That's all it matters. And get some life outside of Hammer.
Stories.
Yeah.
Make friends from all over the country. Sorry, world.
Yes,
what I meant to say. I mean, we got friends all over the place, man. Like this sport's truly amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, so I think we'll cut it there unless you got something else to say. Like, share, subscribe, do what you got to do, or don't. It's
All
fine.
right. Thanks
Yeah.
for having me again. It was fun.
Yeah. Thanks, Marcel.
No problem, man.
All right, man. See you later.
Bye.